So we're switching our discussion now to cricket on the SportsMax Zone, and we continue to look ahead to the first of two tests between West Indies and host Pakistan, bowling off in the wee hours of Friday morning Caribbean time in Karachi. Coach Andre Kohli, in his final assignment as Windies red ball coach, spoke to the media after a training session on Wednesday, saying the Caribbean men have decided goals for the series.
What we have said to the players, and we're all in agreement, is that we want to take the learning from 2024. So the majority of the squad would have made a debut early in 2024. And we have had some good performances. We've had some disappointing ones. So as we start 2025, finishing off the current edition and look forward to the start of the next one, is really about taking the learning and the positives from the previous year. And then in a new environment for most of the players as well, is to be able to back themselves, trust the preparation, and keep learning quickly.
The Jamaican reiterated that his team is not too concerned about the conditions.
Comment too much on the pitch. The series between England and Pakistan obviously is history, and there's quite a bit to be taken from it. You know, we have a clear plan in our mind as you look at the makeup of our squad. So the squad gives us the option to go either way. You know, you play a lot, you play enough cricket and you coach enough cricket, and you know you could always put targets and numbers, but what actually matters is what happens on the day. You could say 300, you could say 250, but when you look at how players apply themselves, you could actually get a lot more than that. So it's really about backing our skills, being present in the moment, and staying in the game for as long as possible and trying to control the game for as long as possible. That's what we're focusing on. Obviously we have the history of scores here, etc. But like anything else, history can be made.
Yeah, that's Andre Kohli in his final assignment as red ball coach for the West Indies on this tour. We're going to discuss the prospects for the West Indies now with Joseph Reds Perreira, Guyana-born, St. Lucia-based, over 50 years in sports commentary. I would suggest cricket probably his favourite sport. He can correct me if I'm wrong. But Reds, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Always great to have you on. A tough series here facing the West Indies, isn't it?
Yes, nice of you to involve me in the discussion. It was a very tough series. Pakistan is going to be very much at home. They did well against England, as Coach Kohli just said after losing the first test. They turned to spin and spin work. They had pace in South Africa. Their batting did well. They've gone back to the spin if we look at their selection. And I think they are a difficult side to beat in Pakistan by anybody.
Yeah, and the fact is, as we discussed on yesterday's show, they have sort of sidelined a huge part of their fast bowling group and gone with a heavy spin attack here for the West Indies in an environment that we know the West Indies has in the past struggled. So how decisive do you think this plan for the Pakistanis would be?
Well, it has worked. It has worked after backfiring in the first test against England, being beaten badly. They made a very quick turnabout, and it certainly, I think, very much part in the future of any Pakistan attack. It's going to be spin-based.
Yeah, you are on record, Reds, as announcing some sympathy for Coach Andre Kohli for being replaced for the job even before the series is on. So that's a part of the issue here for Coach Kohli to get his job done. But do you think this squad is the best squad that they've picked here to tackle the Pakistanis at home? I know the West Indies isn't littered with, world-class talent, so it's easy to say, this player should have been in. But on performance and what lies in front of the selection panel, well, not so much a panel these days, Reds, which I know is an issue for you as well. Are you satisfied with a squad that has gone there?
Well, I just want to comment on the point you made. I think it's within Cricket West Indies to change a coach if he hasn't, in their opinion, had a good run. But I thought the timing was bad. There was a fair amount of time to allow the Pakistan tour to take place, and then makes the announcement about the change to Darren Savvy. But let me ask you a quick question. Has the team been announced, just in case I've missed it?
No, you mean the 11? We have not gotten an 11, Reds. But I gather that you have an 11 that you would like to see play, and maybe the Trinis wouldn't be too happy. But you apparently wouldn't have Joshua De Silva in your 11.
Well, I can only look at the practice game that they had. I can only pick people on performance, like anyone else. You pick people who have played well. And just for the audience, my 11 would have been Braffett and Louis, Hodge, Atenez, Django gets his first cap, Imlat gets his first cap, the all-rounders Graves and Sinclair, Moti, and the fast bowlers being Roach and Seals. Now, I don't believe I am being unfair or I am underscoring De Silva's performance, but I think he has struggled badly in the last series against Bangladesh. And I just thought that, Imlach has been around for about 4 tours now, and he hasn't played. He's got 55. He looked good. 9 fours in that 55. I don't believe within the heart of heart that they are going to leave out the Silva. But, I mean, as an armchair commentator, I have to be honest to myself. Looking at what the 3-day game brought out, Sinclair put his hands up. Maybe initially they probably weren't thinking of Sinclair. He picked up 3, was 28 not out, etc. So that's basically my feeling about was the best 11 based on what we saw in the 3-day game. De Silva had a chance to right his poor form with the bat, but that didn't happen. What's your take on my thoughts, Lance?
Well, I understand the point you're making, because De Silva has been struggling a bit, but the other side of the coin, he has more experience than Imlach has, so
definitely
it would be hard to not play him here. But I do agree that there is concern about De Silva's form at the moment, but given his experience, I would suggest that he should start the series, and hopefully he could get his form back against, in a tough assignment here. I've seen him play some really dogged and determined innings when the West Indies had their backs against the wall. So if he can conjure up, that kind of performance here, he may well hold his place.
Just let me make a point going back to other occasions. Ivan Barrow was picked in front of Cyril Cristiani, who played against England in 34. Barrow was a better batsman, and the selectors went for the man who was producing the runs, the form. If you look at Desmond Lewis, the Jamaican who had one series, he got in because of his batting plus his keeping. If you look at 1973, Derek Murray got in front of Finley because of batting. So I think there is a history where the ability to bat or the ability to show that you've got potential as a batsman can come into play. The same thing goes to maybe Dujon replacing David Murray in Australia because of batting.
Yeah. And speaking about the batting, you included Amir Django, young Amir Django, into your squad, Reds. And I just want to spend some time talking a bit about him and, maybe he impressed you in the ODI, and do you think he can translate that same form we saw in the ODI as well as in the practice matches into the actual test matches? Because one of the things, Reds, that has always worried me, right? A lot of players stepping up in the practice matches and everything, and when it's time to translate that into the matches that actually count for points, sometimes we see difficulty there. Your thoughts on Amir and how he's going to set up for this test match?
Well, I think he's demonstrated already when he played in St. Kitts in the ODI that, you know, he's got the skills. Solid performance. I thought he should have played in the T20 in the St. Vincent squad, but that was surprising. But I think that he's earned his first cap. Definitely earned his first cap. I will expect that he will respect the game. You don't simply go into a test match and start playing shots on ball one. But I think it's a nice flavor, it's a nice freshness for Django to come through the ranks and battle his way into the ODI squad, and now possibly, if my selection is right, into the test squad.
Yeah. And, you know, we spent some time talking about batting, right? But let's talk about the strengths of the bowling now, Reds, because we have the veteran Kemar Roach. We know what he can do, and I mean, he's shown himself when it came to Pakistan, that winning match that he had with Jaden Seals. He did it with the bat, but he's also very, very effective when it comes to the ball. What do you think about the strength of our bowling unit as opposed to Pakistan?
Well, they will have to operate with the all-rounding Graves and the four bowlers. The key to Roach and Seals doing well is control, is length. They aren't going to get a lot of sideways movement. It probably will be low or maybe slow, but they've got to bowl the right length and deny Pakistan and build pressure. I didn't initially think that maybe Sinclair would have gotten in. I thought they might have gone for Modi and Warwick. But Sinclair put his hands up. He's good in the field. He seemed to have bowled quite well in the practice match. And I think he also sort of like the batting. The batting, if you look at it, on paper at least, is quite deep. We've got to operate with those five bowlers, and Rapid is going to be very, very much on the ball in making those changes. He can't overbowl anyone. He's got to keep them fresh. And the other point I would like to say, that if we win the toss, Lance and Kelly, if we win the toss, we can send Pakistan in and do not bat on the opening day in Multan.
Yeah, and you know, you just touched on Craig Brathwaite and his captaincy and how important it is for this series, Reds, that, you know, he makes the right decisions at the right time will be very, very important. Craig is somebody that, you know, has struggled a bit when it comes to his own performance. Many have forgotten the centuries that he's made and the good performances. Would he be under a bit of pressure this test match to, of course, you know, just get the runs when it comes to himself?
He'll be under pressure as a captain. He'll be under pressure as a batsman.
Yeah.
But knowing Brackett over the years, he knows his ability. But I think although he must not be over-attacking, he must be positive. He must try and get the ball away, not dot ball, but drive the ball through the cups, use the feet, turn the strike over, which is important for himself and Louis. They've had pretty good starts, but they have not gone on. You know, we don't want 30s and 40s. We want to build on a good start. But, you know, we just have to wait and see, basically, how they operate on the opening day. They must have a good opening day. And I said, you win the toss, let Pakistan do the running. Let Pakistan decide what they want to do, how many shots they want to play. And if you can build pressure, catching is important. I think everybody will be surprised if the West Indies perform with the kind of level that they are capable of. And we want to wish all who get selected, especially the debutants, the very, very best. The crowd will be large. Pakistan is going to have the backing of their supporters, and the atmosphere, you can cut it with a knife.
Yeah, and Reds, with the two-tier test system topic in the air at the moment and the possibility or the prospects of that happening, hanging over our heads or hovering over our heads, Pakistan currently ranked number 7 in the world, West Indies 8 in the world, so both in the bottom half of the table. Do you think these two teams will be thinking about that when they go into this series this weekend?
Well, I think they'd be wrong to start doing that because it's an item to come. They got to think of, look, this is a test match, and we simply want to play well enough to have won it or to win it. I don't believe that should be in their minds about making sure that you get into the top group. I mean, I'm totally against what I read that Kenny Benjamin said. I mean, I was very happy to hear Michael Holding's thoughts, to hear Mike Otterson's thoughts, and we've heard Clive Lloyd almost tearful in his appeal, because I was around like the late Tony Becker, like Tony Kosher, when we were dominating the world. I mean, people could get enough of us. We filled the stands. We put money in their coffers. But, lads, people have very short memories, boy.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to Kenny Benjamin a little later on in the show, so I'm pretty certain as an avid viewer of the SportsMax Zone, Reds, you'll probably watch that segment and be glued into what Kenny Benjamin has to say, because we're all ears, because I understand some of the points that he has made, so we'll tackle them further when we get to that segment. But quickly, what would be your hope stroke expectation for the West Indies in this series in Pakistan? And I'm kind of asking for a prediction, but if you don't want to go that far, you could just talk about what you think the West Indies can get out of this series.
Well, don't forget that the players have got to look in Pakistan. It's got to look beyond this, because there is a new coach. Australia is coming in July. 3 tests and 5 T20s, we are told. They have got to come up with good performances for their own future in playing for the West Indies. So there's an incentive there. I'm sure that Darren Sammy will be watching every ball, and people who play well could be part of Darren Sammy's future. Hopefully we can have Sharman Joseph back, Azari Joseph back after he flirts with the white ball game. And the test squad against Australia could look quite good. There is a couple of spots going, but I think the players must think beyond Multan. I think they play both matches there.
Yeah. All right, Reds, thanks for linking with us here on the show today. Always a pleasure talking to you, and your history in the game as well. And we will look forward to talking to Kenny Benjamin shortly, and we'll talk to you again soon, Reds. Thanks.
Okay. Good afternoon to all.
Yeah, Reds Perreira there, looking ahead to the Pakistan-West Indies series starting this weekend. Both test matches scheduled for Multan, and the West Indies have a pretty unimpressive record in Pakistan as far as Test cricket is concerned. We go to break. We have more coming up on the SportsMax Zone after this.